Here we're going to talk about economics, specifically foreign aid, by Kevin Perez, myself, and Eric Opor. First of all, we have to answer the main questions of this chapter in order to understand the subject involved. The first question is: explain that aid is extended to economically less developed countries, either by governments of donor countries, in which case it is called official development assistance, or by non-governmental organizations, NGOs. First, we need to know what is a foreign aid. Foreign aid is the international transfer of capital, goods, or services from a country or international organization for the benefit of the recipient country or its population. The foreign aid can be either economic, military, or humanitarian. Economic is mainly a financial aid to the foreign country, and military is involved, the foreign country involved in the capital's country's war or extra force in order to control society. And humanitarian is basically the labor force or labor aid required from one country. And this foreign aid can be either given by the official development assistance, or called ODA, or a non-governmental organization called NGO. The ODA is basically a foreign government. It is basically aid given by a foreign government. It means that, for example, here in Ecuador, that in a hypothetical case, Colombia help Ecuador, therefore Colombia will be an ODA because he is a foreign government helping us and giving us some kind of aid. This ODA requires three basic elements in order to be successful or be considered as ODA. First of all, it has to be undertaken by the official sector. With official sector, it means that it has to be from the own government party. For example, official senators, the official government, official agencies, official organizations, etc., etc., etc. Also, it requires a promotion of economic development. With this, it means that its aim or its main objective is to improve the living standards or to develop the country that requires help. Then it needs to be at concessional financial terms. It means that because ODA is mainly financial, the foreign country made a loan with the country demanded for help, and they required to have 55% grant money, or they require consistently 55 grand money, and the rest in long-term loans. This means that in that moment, the help that needed for help country as for the loan, he needs to pay the 55% of the whole amount, and then in a long run or in a long term, they have to pay the whole loan in basically easy terms. The main part of the ODA money is basically for loans, and only like 1/3 of everything they have is just the 55% granted that they demand. Here are a few examples of the ODA of those countries that help the most other countries, and this is measured by a percentage of the gross national income, which is a sum or the union of the GDP and the foreign income of the country. This foreign income of the this foreign income of the country is what measures or represents the euro, because it is any transaction occurred from two different countries or foreign countries. Here we have that Sweden, Luxembourg, Norway, Denmark, and United Kingdoms are the five main donors or helpers to foreign countries, because they have around 0.7 to 1 percentage of the whole gross national income as a donor to the euro. And then we have the non-governmental organizations, which are basically a non-profit group created for a set of specific public action purposes, including a development work. They do not ask for a profit or for a benefit because of the things they do. For example, some non-governmental organizations demanded women rights and gender equality, but they do not ask for money in return for the actions they do. If they in some way get to change something or get a woman rights rise or something like that, they do not ask for a profit. They are just doing it for help in order to encourage the development of the whole country. Here are a few examples of NGOs or of non-governmental organizations. First, we have the Care International, which basically eradicates poverty. Apopo is in Tanzania, and it is mainly focused to train rats in order to detect mine files. The International Rescue Committee basically asks for refugees in order to protect them from the actual wars that were happening in their house, in their native countries. The Heifer International was created from the main purpose of husbandry, where they give you a living loan, but you have to raise or husbandry an animal, especially a cow. And the brag that is the same as the Internal Rescue Committee. And the second question: explain that humanitarian help consists of food aid, medical aid, and emergency relief aid. First of all, we need to know what is humanitarian help. Humanitarian help are basically the human force or labor force that one country offers to another that actually needed it after they have faced a natural disaster like a hurricane, earthquake, a tsunami, or stuff like that. They are devastated by the effect, and therefore they require for human help. This means that people move to that country and give them supplies in order to survive, for them to survive the crisis they are going through. And the most common ways the humanitarian help works is with food aid and medical aid, because for this natural disaster the raw materials for the food of the native country are basically destroyed or damaged, therefore they have no food to eat. So the humanitarian help is in charge to give them food or carry them with food so they can eat and survive basically the disaster. And also with medical aid, because we all know that the disaster have some brings tragedy losses to every single citizen of the country. For example, in an earthquake there will be wounded people, so with medical aid they basically look for the missing, for the disappeared people after the earthquake, and the one wounded, trying in order to save them in most of the cases, and they can go through and overcome the natural disaster they have faced. The next question is explain the development aid consists of grants, concessional long-term loans, project aid that includes supports for a school and hospital, and programming aid that includes support for sectors such as the education sector and the financial sector. First of all, we need to know what is development aid. Development aid is basically the name for a long or short-term loans, grants, and technical assistance for the purpose of increasing the living standards of the country. Here, as we can see in the picture, these are females that are working and aiming to increasing the living standards of these people. They need money because they have no earnings in order to change the way they are living. If they have any money, they wouldn't be working like that. They will have been even like in cities or enterprises to in businesses to earn their own money, and so they can have a better life. They will have more food to eat, a better house, and better clothes and stuff like that, and their bodies will not be that damaged because of the hard work they are doing. Therefore, basically the development aid are loans that serve the purpose of increasing the living standards of a country. If a country demand for development aid, they will be granted with a long or short-term loan. It depends of how the native country wants to pay it, but they have to use that money in order to improve the way of living of every citizen in that country, of every human being in that country. That's the main purpose of the development aid, and with that money they can increase, and the main objective is to increase the living standards of the citizens. And therefore, and how do they do that? As we know, the education and healthcare are one of the main indicators in order to improve living in standards in one country. Therefore, with the money earned by the loan, they can improve in the school programs and medical and hospital programs in the native country. For example, here in Ecuador, Rafael Correa asked for a loan in order for us to give us a better education and improve our education programs in order to make it fair for everyone to see the same. So when we graduate, we will have the same knowledge and we will have the same opportunities, increasing our future living standards and therefore developing the country. And as well, he had improved the way hospital attend you, like the way they cure you from your diseases, and also all the medical advances we have seen so far. We have now more equipment in order to work, and better and like professionals in every single specialization that a hospital needs or ask for. And finally, explain that the most part the priority of NGOs is provided aid on a small scale to achieve development objective. First of all, we need to know that NGOs in ORA have different scales or terms as they work. For example, the ORA is basically long-term loans. They aim for a long-term effects. That's why they give loans, and to in a long term, in easy terms, because they are aiming not only in a specific in a momentary development. They are looking for a future development, for a growing development. with this I mean that by giving huge quantity of loan, huge amount of loans, and the country can invest in their own education, health or healthcare that in the long run will improve the living standards of the people that live in, like here in Ecuador with education and the healthcare. But the NGOs works only on a small scale because they do little actions in order to change in that moment the living standards of those people that have that went through this specific event. For example, after a disaster just came in, a disaster just for example, in one country that just recently faced a disaster, all NGOs will try to help that country for that specific moment, and just to improve the development of that country, but just in that moment, because after the disaster has passed and they have overcome it, then the NGOs will left and they will be just by their own, decaying the development they have reached. They only work in a small scale, but in a momentary development rather than a long-term development, like the OTA.